Hello, everyone. I have a special guest within and a special colleague today with Javi. Welcome here,
Hello.
Javi.
Thank you, Yasmina.
It's
Glad to
really
be here.
I'm really glad to have you here because I know you are really fluent in English and you are an amazing person, and I'm really lucky to
Thank
have you here. So I'm not going to miss Luna so much because I have you here, and you're a Star
Okay.
Wars fan, so I'm really happy to have a Star Wars fan with me.
Well, thanks a lot for your words and interaction. I mean, what introduction actually. So,
I hope if
uh,
you can introduce yourself a little bit so the people can follow you or know you a little bit because I
yeah,
think
well,
you're new in this section.
yeah, I'm actually new in this section, but not in the Esports Business Life. I'm also in charge of presenting the innovation section. Okay, on
I do.
Fridays morning, and I'm the CEO of Keres Esports, one of the first female esports club in Europe. And I'm not today the main character, so I think that's more than enough for me, and I think we should go to our guest today.
I think the same. We have to introduce our amazing guest, and I will say something really short about myself. You know me, you know I'm a lawyer. You don't need more information about me. So please welcome Ursula. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
It's really a pleasure. How are you? First of all, before we start with the questions, first I want to know how you are.
I'm good. I'm super positive person. Like I'm always fully full of energy. So yeah, absolutely. Like there is hardly ever a different answer from myself. I'm always okay and I'm always on the run and I'm always smiling. So sometimes that energy could be overwhelming to some of the people, but but yeah, I'm okay. I'm great. Thanks for asking. How about you?
Really great, and I feel really positive we have you here. So that's really amazing, and you give me that energy that I think everyone needs it, especially on Mondays.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So before we start, I would like if you can introduce yourself a little bit so the audience can know you, and please know them that well, I would like to tell to the audience that before once we finish, I will send all the re- um, social media that you have in order to follow you because you're amazing.
Okay, thank you so much. So my name is Ursula. I'm Polish. I work in esports since 2014. I am a performance coach, and I support people to basically unlock any hidden potential that is in them. I graduated business psychology right now, finishing psychology. I'm just about to pick whether I will go clinical psychology or whether that will be a sports psychology. I'm on the edge. I'm graduating next year in June. So, took my second master degree because I feel like there is a need for it. And especially like the situation in the esport environment, um, forced me to, if I can call it like that, to get a little bit more knowledge to be able to support people, especially in those moments when they're like sad, depressed, and they face a lot of hate. I've been working with many teams, doing many projects. My role is usually a project based because most of the teams they do have performance coaches or psychologists hired for like projects. But right now I'm working with CLG and it's been 1.5 years. It's not a project. I'm super happy to be a part of the org and I love what I do. I decided to quit my previous senior managerial position in a corporate environment because I'm a gamer. And if you're a gamer, you need to be doing something you love because then you can't say that you're going for work. You just do what you love, and it's just pure fun for me right now. So yeah, mastering people's skills, if I can call it like that.
In a nutshell, I like it.
Yeah, and good introduction. I mean, we can also already close the interview here. I mean, you said everything. I mean, you love to do it. You love gaming. You're a gamer, so I think you made the right choice. And let's see what the future is holding for you.
And
Awesome.
I
Yeah.
we sorry, my English in the Mondays are not the best one. But I will say that good luck. I hope you finish all your studies and you choose the path that you feel most fulfilling for yourself.
Okay. Thank you, Sola. Thank you so much.
So go, Harry. Start with
Yeah,
the second question. Go ahead.
yeah. I got one. I mean, because also you said you're a performance coach, and I was telling you, in the background before we switch on the camera, that I was not familiar with this role, and I find it pretty interesting. I think it's, and you also said it, right? It's kind of a mix between psychologist and also, let's say, analyst and coaching. I mean, what do you do? I mean, I
Okay.
really, I really, I really need to know. I'm really thrilled about it.
Okay, so like a performance coach is a role that is supporting like in esport mostly, or in traditional sport where I also work. I also do projects in business. So it's not only that performance coach is a strictly specialized role in the esport environment. Absolutely not. So also very often you could see poker players. I do also work with poker players having performance coach that is supporting them, and it's usually myself doing things that are connected with um, being productive in the environment that you're currently in. So if it comes to esport,
Mhm.
I focus a lot on soft skills. I help
Okay.
players to deal with pressure, with stress, mastering conflicts inside of the team, handling any difficult situations, any block that they face. Very often, very common, let's say, subject of my work is when the player is performing differently on stage, and for example, when he is playing scrims. So in scrims, some of the players are super productive, they're amazing, but when they join the big stage or important tournament, it's getting difficult for them. So like these are the things that I'm also doing. I'm teaching the players how to master their own emotions, how to control the emotions. Um, so you could tell that a coach is training everything that is connected with the game, with the plan, with how to master their skills and abilities that are connected with the game. Whereas myself, I could tell that I'm coaching players, teams, and staff, everything that is outside of the game. Also building relationship,
Okay.
also helping them to uh, fall into the right circle. So there are two circles: circle of failure, circle of success. I'm also helping them how to master the self-talk, how to control stress, how to breathe properly when you're facing
Nice.
stress. So like there are lots of topics I'm focusing on. And obviously when I join the team, I always need to recognize what's needed. I always need to recognize where there's a problem, whether there is a player's problem, whether there's a staff problem, whether there's something else that is bugging the player. So you could tell that I am like a soul that is just like right next to the players, and focusing on any soft skills that they're having, but also helping them with individual issues. You could be just laughing how many girlfriends and boyfriends I've been dumping or I started dating with
Really?
my players. Yeah, absolutely. Everything that is connected with with the job, with the performance, like how you performing, is super important. And when my player is sad because they're having relationship issues, this is also things to work. These are also things to work for me. So you know it's not that it's just like uh ticking boxes job. It's building a really good and deep relationship with the player, with the staff. And then based on that relationship, if I see my player is sad, if coaches see that some of my players are struggling with something, there's always like, hey, I think we need your help. Like, I think I've noticed something, maybe it's worth looking into. So there are like lots of little things that I'm focusing daily just to keep my players smiling, happy, and enjoying. Because things like burnout, things like sleeping issues, and so on and so
Mm.
forth, this is all adding to the pot where at some point the players are not productive, and my role is to keep them productive at 100% always or above it.
That's
Wow.
amazing. You do a lot.
Yeah,
I
indeed.
I do a lot. You could tell, but without the staff support, my job wouldn't be so easy. So there's like a huge props to all the coaches I work with, because very often they do see a lot of things, and then I'm just like handling all those things that could be disruptive. So my work is very connected and is very close with the staff as well. So we kind of we all like need to be on the same page. We build like an atmosphere that is, allowing the players to grow.
That's
Well,
amazing.
yeah,
And really
indeed.
cool.
It
Sorry, go
sounds
ahead.
no, so sorry, Jasmine, and it sounds like a really, really, really hard job. I mean, because you also need to, you need to make them listen to you, because you can give them all kind of advices, all kind of, speeches or whatever. But how do
Mhm.
you make that? How do you manage so you achieve to them listening to you?
You know what? Like I remember my first job was with one of the back then LCS teams in the past, and I remember I joined that team, and I was like really stressed out because like it was my first project. I traveled to them, and I'm a girl. It was a typical male environment. And I was like, okay, how they will react into me. And myself being a gamer was actually the saving spot for me, because obviously the players were like, trying me out, and I think they were trying to like troll me a little bit with some of the strats, and they
No.
were
Oh no.
saying something like, hey, how do you do that, because like you should be playing this specific champion when you do this. And I since was like, hey, you don't pay, I don't remember what champion was it, but it was like a AD carry that he was trolling that he's playing in the jungle. And I was just like, hey, if you play that champion in the jungle, then it means that you'll be out of the LCS soon. And then they were like, oh, she knows something. So, so I was also, myself, I do need to know a lot about esports. I do need to know a lot about, the games they're playing. I need to know like what kind of stress factors are there for them, because if not this, then it would be hard for me to understand what they're facing. And finding myself in that environment is having that esport knowledge that is helping me to build everything. And second thing is myself being curious in people. Like I love people, and
You're
very
different
often
from other people, I have to say.
yeah, I'm
The other
very
way
often like
around.
super interested, like what they're doing, how they're doing, like and it's I need to be like a little bit, maybe I'll sound like, I don't know, like posh or something, but it's not easy
No.
for me. It's not difficult for me to open up people. Like even those that are introverted, it's super easy for me to open them up, to kind of put myself in their shoes sometimes. And building that relationship, I think, is critical for me. So if I have a first meeting with the player and I'm like not getting what I want, I'm trying to understand like what happened, what did I do, what did I say that could make them feel uncomfortable. And then I'm trying again and again, and usually that first impression is super important. And in here, I think it's my strength to put that impression in the right place. But sometimes there are players that it takes me a little bit more time to get into them, and I'm just like planting the seeds of like topics I could be helping them with. And then with time, they're just like coming back to me saying like, hey, let's see what we can do with that, because like it's really making my game bad. And then we just like slowly but surely, I can't be pushing, I can't be forcing people to change, because if they don't want to change, I will do nothing. Like you can't change a person that doesn't want to change. So in here, it's a lot about understanding what they need and how they actually like how they want to change, how to change them, how to make them better at what they are right now. So yeah.
I love the comment here to say the trick to gain them will be asserting your dominance at games.
I'm not dominating. I'm bad. Like I want to be better. Like my top performance was getting gold in League of Legends, and right now I'm just like trying to get out of silver from Valorant. So I'm like so bad. And CS, I didn't even start League because I was so bad at it. So I'm like admiring my girls. I know what it's all about, but like I'm just like I know what it's all. I watch a lot of esports. I learn, but like my skill,
Brave.
I'm better at different things. I can win the mind game, but not the skill game. So yeah.
Well, don't worry. Your skill that you have for understanding people is a superpower. So you have more than enough. You cannot have all the superpowers. So I mean,
Exactly.
understanding people is just one of the massive superpowers. So Fair
I
Mm.
enough.
think as well. And actually, talking about people, I would like to know about your job, the positive, and of course also the parts that is a disadvantage for you. Because of course, working and with people can be really tired, if I can say. And also, I would like to ask you because you also describe yourself also as behavior analytics, if I'm right. So I
Mhm.
would like to know what it means exactly because you told about a lot of things that you do and you also have this. So I would like if you can explain a little bit further because it's like, oh my god, she does everything.
I mean, I think it all falls down into like one bucket because like you need to be able to analyze specific behavior of people to be able to tell like what they're doing. Are there any dysfunctions that we're talking about? Are there any like pre-depressive stages? Are there any traumas that are involved? So like being able to analyze what they're doing is actually helping me to be more productive, so to make my meetings more productive. If I see that someone is making like repetitive mistakes because the knowledge is not getting into them, then it means that they may have issues with learning, and then we focus a lot about the, how to learn better, how to be more productive. So that analytical part of me is always there. And I think it's a natural skill, it's a like natural ability that I mastered, because since I remember, people were like coming to me always, even if I even when I was at high school, I was like the the key student, like not the best student in class, of course, but like always the one that was representing the whole community. The same as was during the studies. And in the corporate environment where I was working, it was the same. Like my teams were always top performing, and I always was like so close with people. I knew everything about them, like what's going on with their marriages, with their in their private life. We're just talking, laughing. So like you need to have that natural curiosity, and I think that's the part of the job I like the most.
Mhm.
Getting getting into like understanding and seeing people, how they live, what they do, what they how they could change their life. And quite often they open up to me with things like, I don't know, like even like burnout. People from like business environment, very often they approach me with issues connected with burnout a lot. So like they
Okay.
are working for quite a long time in the environment, and they just like can't stand it anymore, and then we just need to like find a way to manage their dopamine properly, to focus them on the positive points, and also like find those sparks for the job again. So these are the stuff I love about the job. What is difficult for me is to face not face but like support players that are going through a really hard time. And I mean like depressive moments, like really like
Okay.
pre-depressive stages, suicidal thoughts, or facing a lot of hate. Because like i'm I'm giving a lot of emotions, but I'm also taking a lot of emotions. So if I'm having, calls with like really emotional calls, um, then I'm finishing them, and it's like, it's not me smiling again. It's not me being like super positive. It's just me thinking, could I do something better? Could I help them a little bit better? Did I alert everything I could? Did I direct it to them to the right people that could be supporting them? So like, there's a lot of things that I need to digest after those type of calls and or meetings, and these are like the most difficult ones for me. But I'm also super grateful to have them, because um, when I see people changing, when I see people going out of those difficult periods of times for them, um, it's first of all, it's making me happy that I managed to support them. Obviously, I direct them to psychiatrists if it's needed. I direct them to the people that will be like the first source of help, because I
Mm.
can't help in things like depression, like deep depression or something like that.
Yes.
But I can always like redirect their thoughts into right aspect and motivate them to do more for themselves. So at the same time, when they're like visiting a proper therapist, I'm also working with them on keeping their work and the life together. And I also work a lot with streamers.
Hmm.
So apart from like, being a regular CLG staff member, I also have individual contracts or individual players and streamers, and lots of projects I do that involve me into like different discussions, and hate is one of those discussions that is also
Yeah.
difficult. And these are all the topics sometimes that I need to teach the streamers how to be a streamer, how not to allow the hate to hit them, how not to bait that hate, because sometimes they're provoking unknowingly, obviously, but they're provoking some, like they're betting on streams, and then they're not doing things, and they're being called names, blah blah blah. So like, the more you minimize the negative impact of your streams, and the more you kind of stay in stuff you're the best, the better. But then if you very often show weakness to people, then they
Mm.
will live off that weakness, and you need to kind of learn to control that a lot. So this is also, like, I would say, difficult part of my job, but also seeing people, after some time, like saying, hey, I've been doing so much better, like since we talked, like I managed to control this and that. And I'm also building the streamers like proper life cycles, because very often streamers tend to end up in like streaming for 12 or even more hours in a day, which is not healthy for their streaming. It's just causing a lot of
No.
burnout, a lot of negativity. And when somebody's burnt out, you see the person that, you're watching someone that is miserable, that is sad, and is like forcing him or herself to do something. We don't want to watch people like that. We need to teach them how to control the emotions so they stay positive. So people are like, yeah, let's go, let's do something together, and being a little bit, hyped up about the job that they're doing. So yeah, these are the difficulties, I guess.
No, there are, and actually, I think it's pretty difficult, and you're highlighting things that are quite important. So thank you so much for sharing. And also, I think you help a lot of people. I'm certain of it. Just from listening to you, I think you help a lot of them, and you will
Trying my
continue
best.
doing this. So
Yeah, it looks like indeed that you're helping a lot of people out there. So it's quite, listening to you, it sounds like a really quite impressive job. So keep it on,
Yeah.
keep it on doing
Yeah.
it, because I think that a lot of people really need it, because sometimes they are really young, they are really
Mhm.
young persons, and I don't know how, at some point, how you can manage all those emotions cocktail that you got there. So I think it's pretty difficult, and also sometimes the fame just came to them like just of a sudden. So, and it's difficult how you can manage that, so.
Yeah, trying my best. I mean, my positive approach is helping me a lot, not to lie, but any psychologist, any therapist also needs to have like a, someone you talk to, like a patron, or like someone that I need to, throw the things out of myself too. And I do have my mentor, I can call him, and we talk a lot about, players' issues, about my own things, that how do I, handle this. So sometimes, yes, I also, if I'm really like, I need to talk, like I need to vent out. So then he's supporting me, and I think it's natural. Many of us in that role, they're just like, opening up, and they need to talk, like, get a second opinion. Even sometimes, did I do everything right? Would you do it as well? Would you do it exactly as I did? So these are those little moments where like, I also need help, and it's good to have those people around, and it's good to sometimes, make those calls, like, hey, can you check if that was the right call for me to do, especially in those like really delicate moments. So yeah.
Yeah, of course. Even with just that superpower of yours, at the end of the day, you're a person as well. You're
just a,
human,
just
so
a human being, yeah,
you're just a
exactly.
human as well.
So,
So even with
yeah.
that incredible superpower, you're just a
mhm.
human. So yeah, it makes sense, complete sense. And I was just that's one question that came to me. With all that people that you're working, for example, if somebody has the chance to work with you in one of the projects, and for them to, you helping them, what you will tell will be the most important thing that they need to learn from you?
I think that the key topic is, I mean, okay, I have a nickname in the CLG, like the dopamine queen. Like that's
Oh
my
my god, I
nickname
love it.
Okay.
because
Okay.
I do
You will
believe
say
that.
positive, smiling, dopamine. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, and I always, tell the players that in order for you to be productive long term, you need to know how dopamine works, how to take care of the right level of dopamine that is in your body, how to prevent burnout. So for me, if the players understand how to manage their dopamine, I think it's I would say like half of the success to be a long-term competitor, long-term competitive athlete. Because without that, spending has some of the players do 12 up hours daily on practicing the game. This is not quality practice. This is not something that they will benefit from. This is something that will get them close to burnout and will basically reduce their motivation and focus. Dopamine is reinforcing motivation and is reinforcing focus. So without them understanding that, I don't think the career will be like long lasting. It could be like, 1 year career, and then like a burnout is just hitting everyone, and then the productivity is dropping, and then you see the results that are like not the best. And then the players are like, why? I'm playing so much, like I'm spending that much time. Yes, you are, but the key thing is that you're not productive and you're not motivated because you're just burnt out. And this is what's happening if you're not managing your dopamine properly. So yeah, the key thing for me to understand, and I do it with every player, with every new staff member that is on board, like we always do, dopamine as a first topic, to just so I make sure that people know about it enough and know how to manage it.
I like it.
Thanks. Thanks a lot. I mean, difficult question, but outstanding answer. So
Yeah.
thanks a lot.
The title of this program at the end should be dopamine. I think
Yeah.
so. We can propose that.
That is why I just dropped it. Like it'll be super positive because like normally I'm a very positive person, so that's why. Yeah, it's actually, I do a lot of things, and I also try to stay productive, try to take as many sources of dopamine as I can myself, so I can be just like doing my job as long as I can. So yeah.
It's amazing. And really, I will take your advice, your piece of advice of dopamine, because I think it's going for everything, especially as a lawyer, because life could be really hard.
Could be hard. I can drop you a couple of good links afterwards. Don't
I
worry.
think, I think I need it. And in relation with that, I'm quite curious. Have you noticed any difference when you, for example, you work with the players or the teams as a team, or with example with the managers? What you think are the main difference between them, and what are the things that you consider that can be similar in somehow?
Mm-hmm. Okay. When I start to work with players, very often at the start, they're like those that are not sure, like who am I and like what is girls doing, like why is she even here, is she a shrink, is she going to put me on a couch and just like talking about my and asking about my past, and I'm like, none of that. I mean, obviously I dive deeper sometimes into the past issues if I see like some repetitive things that are coming out, then that is yes, then I'm asking like where that could be coming from, and then we just try to work that out. But the moment they understand like who am I and like what I'm doing,
Mhm.
they have no issues with me. But the topics that, I mean, like the common thing is that most of the players at the start, they're like a little bit afraid of me, because many esport players, they are introverted, they're like introverted, they're like
Okay.
a little bit close, and myself, like I'm so much in your face that I'm just like crushing their borders and limits, and then
You're
they're like,
like me. I think my friends that are introverted, they, they escape from
yeah.
me.
So usually my first like introduction and meeting, I try to first be a little bit a little bit, just to like first match myself with the player. Like I can't be surprising them, I can't be just like taking all their space because they will never open up to me. I'm just trying to mirror them as much as I can, but then the longer I'm building relationship with them, then the better and the easier it is. So I think that the common thing for all the players is to be like a little bit scared at the start, but then with time, and usually after the first meeting already, they see like, hey, these were like good topics, these are the things that I definitely need to focus on. So absolutely, for the start, I think just having that understanding, like who is a performance coach, who is a psychologist, and who is a psychiatrist. So I'm always having that graph prepared that is showing them like what's the difference between those, and like where is my expertise. And as of next year, I'll definitely will be able to like dive into a little bit deeper into the like pure psychological aspects of esport athletes. So like, I'm already doing it, already pushing that a lot in that topic, but I feel like it's all about understanding the role. The teams, when I work with them, usually they're totally different topics, because with a team we focus on aspects like, okay, with the individual players, I focus on the individual things. So like anything that is individually putting them off their productivity. It could be lack of focus, it could be sleeping issues, it could be low tolerance to stress, or like not being able to cope with the emotions. Whereas in team, we focus a lot on topics like building trust, building accountability, having a proper work-life balance, building a proper work ethics as well, because that is actually super important in any team, that they're ethically approaching the job they're doing, and by ethically meaning like even like showing up on time with on scrims or like on the meetings, because like in the end, how can you trust someone that is not putting enough effort and hard as you are? So that's another thing. A lot about conflicts, a lot about communication. We just doing like some of the topics connected with bonding, so like getting to know a little bit better, and also if there's a recruitment, I'm also knowing the players very well, and I'm just like building around the core players. So if the staff needs my support in that, I'm definitely sharing or showing the traits that the teams should be kind of the coaches should be looking into when they're looking for players. That was mostly in the past when I was doing the recruitment for some of the teams in the past. Right now it's not my core responsibility, so I'm not really focused on that, but I guess in here understanding what is the key role and what is the need of the team, I think that goes with the CLG on the staff. But we've got fantastic staff that is seeing all those things, so I'm like, I know they'll do the best the job they can, so that is absolutely okay. What else? On the staff, there's a lot of work usually on topics connected with managing the players. So how to manage emotions during the scrims, how to manage players that are, let's say, very explosive, that are not listening, that are not focused. So like lots of things on like building also the relationship between the staff and the player. In the past, I also had an experience where the players were not respecting the coach at all. Like they didn't want to work with him, and they were doing exactly right the opposite he wanted. So that was also a big issue. And obviously we found the reason why it happened, and we tried to fix it. It was obviously like a short-term fix to like kind of bring the team into the competitive mode and like in competitive environment. But like long term, there needs to be this this connection between what is the team doing and how they're seeing the game, as well as the coaches. Because if there's no chemistry between coach and the staff, the coach and the players, it won't work. Like it won't work. You can
get stopped at the end.
I mean, we've seen it. We've seen so many star players and those star teams, and they usually like didn't work out, because quite often there is nobody to kind of build that from the start. And if there are no expectations from the start, then the players would be fighting or competing internally for the spotlight, for the power, for like the decision making. And it never ends well when the team is competing inside. They need to be competing outside, not inside of the team. So this is also like on the staff, how to manage those type of things. What else? There are like many topics connected with proper approach for the team, like when the team is going to competition, how to motivate them, what not to tell them, how not to treat them, to build stress, to to build walls between the players and the team. So like, the worst thing that the coach can do before the game is just like saying like, okay guys, let's win this one. Like, okay, the team is done. Like, the team is not going to win because they're going to play stressed. Like, the team is going to play out of emotions, and they would not like to let the coach down, so they'll be passively not being afraid of making mistakes, and obviously that natural rhythm is gone. So also working with the team and seeing what the coach is doing before live tournaments and so on and so forth, this is also allowing me to kind of tell them in the future, is like, hey, that was a little bit on you. Do you know why? And then it's like, no, not really. So I'm just explaining it, how specific things work. So there's a lot of like individual work as well when I'm traveling to tournaments with teams. So quite often motivating the team before the games, like giving them like a motivational speeches, making sure that I am able to like unlock them. Now we always have like some keywords that are like just resetting points. I'm just reminding them about that. So there's like a lot of work outside of like the trainings. There's a lot of work, I would say a lot of work for me also during the live events, which is something that the teams really appreciate. Even if a team member wants to like go aside, it's like, hey, I need to tell you something, I just need to throw that out of my chest. I'm here, like I'm the one that they always can count on. So yeah.
That's very amazing, and you do a lot. And actually, I found quite difficult all the works that you're doing, because especially not only individual, but try to work with a lot of them. Two peers people can be a disaster. So imagine a lot of them.
I mean, usually staff and org, like in CLG, it's a one body, and the staff needs to be on the same page. And then to support the players, they need to know how to do it. And this is something that CLG is doing amazing. And I feel like if there is that connection, then you can tell that the organization is healthy, and there are not many like dramas, crazy issues, not like rage quitting or something like that. This is not happening as long as the org is approaching the players and the staff in the right way. So yeah,
Zero dramas in life, please, guys.
Yeah, it is
drama. Go ahead.
Definitely.
Sorry.
No, I was also thinking about the wide range or of situations that you have to manage, because it's not the same behavior that a player or coach or staff manager, whatever, can have during just the practice of a scrim, or maybe when you are attending to a physical event, feeling the pressure, all the fans just in front of you, and you also need to be there and help them manage all those feelings coming up to your head at that same point.
I mean, you know what? Like in here, I need to jump in because I teach them a lot prior the tournaments, prior the events, and how they're applying it and how they're adopting it. It's a lot on the players. And in here, if I see that the players are capable to cope with the stress, then it means like, okay, job was done well. But if I see something is like off, then I'm there to react. But like in most cases, I would say a lot of that falls on the players. And I think their awareness in like what are the gaps, where to like how to prepare before the tournaments. We have also like a lot of workshops before the tournaments just to focus specific scenarios that we go through, like, hey, what we are going to do, or like how we're going to react in the situation when there is like a 0-6, for example. And then the team is just like trying to put a scenario, like what they're going to do, how they're going to bounce back, what we've learned based on obviously everything that we've been learning. So this is super productive for them. And if we see things like that, then it's just amazing. I just need to prepare them for everything that can get them stressed in the live environment.
And that's really, really, really interesting. And you are already working on that potential situation that you're going to live, and you're probably going to live. I mean, when you're attending to those events, I mean, it's a 90% is likely to happen. So it's pretty interesting. Yeah.
When they're prepared, I'm prepared. When they're happy, I'm happy. Like, that's it.
Oh, I mean, fair enough. I mean, you don't need to make any kind of exam. It's just when your players attend to a tournament, you just need how they perform, how they behave, and you got your own mark.
Yeah. Absolutely. But seeing them smiling on stage is like the best feeling ever. So yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it.
I'm really glad to hear it. And before we start actually with your work right now at Contra Logic Gaming, I would like to ask you first because you start your own project actually, Mindflex. So
Mhm.
I would like to know why you should and you choose that, how this project start, and please tell me the name, why you choose that name.
I mean, I'm like, for me, flexibility in life is like super important. You need to be flexible to be able to face different situations in life, whether that's, I don't know, angry shop assistant, whether that's, I don't know, like a angry driver on the street or whatever. You need to have that flexibility to understand, like, hey, they might be having bad days, so there's no point of, like, getting them angry even more. So I'm just like, one of my rules is like flexibility, be flexible in life. And
I
second
like
of
it.
all, mind. Everything is here, is our computer. So like, if we know how to be flexible and if we use our mind properly, nothing bad can happen. So that is why the Mindflex name. And the project is actually, it's my company, it's my own company. And I am just like, it's one person company, and it's like a freelancing project that I'm just like, very often ask for support from different teams, like, hey, we've got this issue, is there anything you could help us with? And then I'm just like working on my own side project, which is working individually, working with poker stables, working with individual players, streamers. And obviously, if there is no direct competition between the teams I'm working with, I also, like, I'm okay with taking some side projects that are aiming players improvement. So yeah. So that's the project. That's the secret of it. So Mindflex Coaching. It's mindflexcoaching.pl. It's my page, and obviously the way I work, you could learn a lot there, like how I work, how I analyze players, and how I build like individual training plan for the teams or for the players individually. So yeah.
Thank you. I really like it, and I love the experience with the name. I like Mindflex.
Yeah, indeed, I love the name as well. I mean, knowing the story behind.
It's a
Exactly.
little bit
I'm going to highlight for this program dopamine and Mindflex. Perfect.
Mindflex. Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's a win-win.
Exactly.
yeah, definitely. So and now let's get on your current role right now, no? Right, Jasmina, you're focusing on the
Yes.
contrology claiming on CLG. What
Yep.
are you doing right now, and what's your role in all that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
so I work with CLG for like 1.5 year. So I joined them last year in May, I think, May or April. Just to support Summer Scott, and I'm super grateful for that. We know each other from like the very very beginnings of esports. She's also a performance coach, and kind of we're together, and she needed a little bit of support. So I was like, okay, so I'm like totally okay to do it. And then since then I've been just like staying with the org. And I really like it. I work with all of the teams that we have. So we definitely have like a Valorant team. We have CS:GO team. We've got Fortnite. We've got Apex. We've got streamers that I'm supporting as well. So like just like working on the productivity. We also have like internal projects. We've got a lot of internal meetings with the staff where we actually teach each other. We learn from each other as well. So like there's a really good flow of communication. That's why I'm praising that a lot, because I feel like that type of culture, when we learn from each other a lot, is super super productive for the environment. I don't work with the League of Legends team in the CLG. They're based in LA, but most of my teams are like in the distance. So we either meet at the lands and work in distance, or like mostly that's my focus. And what I do with them, you already know. So just like focusing to be better at at what they already have. So yeah.
There are people actually telling to have it to learn from you.
Yeah, that comment is right for me. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to stay clean. Obviously, my desk is okay, but no, I definitely am like totally like a Logitech girl. I try to wait. I'll try to show you that, but yeah, I try to keep my setup clean. So yeah, learn from me, learn from me, learn from me. KDA fan as everyone. So
Yes,
yeah,
I was
absolutely.
seeing. It was like I love it.
No,
I'm
thank you,
sorry.
Logitech. Thank you so much for that.
I'm sorry, but I will not do that. Okay, I will not show my. I'm going.
Absolutely.
I was going to say my table, and in Spanish is mesa, so I will say my mess here. So,
But you know what? Naturally, if you would open my wardrobe, there is a mess there. Like I am really like unorganized person. Like in my wardrobe, there's a mess. But like if I look at my notes from like the meetings, because like I keep notes from my meeting with players, so I remember like what I've been doing. And there's like quite a few players, so like if so I not get lost, I tend to like put a lot of notes there. They're neat, like absolutely. Like I like work is different, life is different. In life I'm like hurricane, like like a wind just everywhere, but at work I try to like keep the things I do in a specific way, because it's just making my work easier. I don't need to like think. I'm not repeating myself a lot, and I'm just like preparing myself. So like if I see that there's a specific topic that the team want to talk about, I'm just like researching, diving a little bit deeper, trying to prepare some quizzes, so the team is like not just listening to like the lady talking, but it's also fun for them. We've been also doing like with CLG like the personality test if it comes to colors, and that paid off a lot. Like they really enjoyed it because they understand like what kind of colors they are, and I'm one of the few rare yellow colors, if I can put it like that. Yeah, so usually the players are like either blue, the team leaders, they're usually red, and the coaches, but like in most cases there are like no yellows, and like I think I'm one of either I'm the only yellow in CLG, or there's like one. No, actually I'm the only yellow in the CLG. So
Embrace the jello.
yeah, absolutely. I'm on the border like yellow and red, because like it depends also like in my role, what I'm doing, but usually, yeah. Can one be more yellow than I? Nah. So yeah.
Well, at least I'm happy to hear that because, for example, I'm a chaotic person. I mean, at my job, no, I'm really organized. But when you see my room,
Mhm,
here it's because it's another room. This is my boyfriend's room, so it's
mhm.
really all clean and everything is clean up. But I always say that it's an order in my chaos. So
But I
don't
can
get
find
that.
everything in
I
my
can
chaos.
find
Like,
everything, so it's an order in my chaos.
it's an order. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So yeah, so definitely, my role goes to like all the teams, supporting them, and just like putting as much yellow color in their life as I can.
Love it. And also, I would like to ask you what is exactly what counter logic gaming does, and also I would like to know what they bring to the ecosystem. A little bit
Mhm,
of a salesperson here. Tell
mhm.
me what they do.
Okay, so I think Counter Logic Gaming is like it's the org belongs to like Madison Square Garden, and it's one of the few orgs that I've been into that for them the people are the key. So they really take care of the players, they really take care of the staff. This is something that I really appreciate because I'm also a people person, and like playing fair and playing openly, this is something that I think it's a big trait for an esport organization. Also what they're promoting is growth, and it's like not only like the skill growth for the players, but like teaching people to be better, teaching people different theories. We do have like coaches meeting where we exchange a lot of things, a lot of topics. Our head of operations summer is bringing very often topics for us where she is teaching us, or people are just taking like, hey, I've just read that in a book, like, hey, I just want to share that. So we have that culture of exchanging a lot of information and teaching each other, which is something that I really appreciate that. And on the other hand, I think this org stays and supports a lot women. This is one of the first orgs in the world that had CLG Red Team. That's a history. That's this is something where this is a place where like female players can always grow, and they always have equal chances, they have always support. So this was not very common a couple of years ago when CLG was there. Now more and more organizations are like, you know, taking an example, and you know, more and more building on that. And I'm super happy. Yeah, I'm super happy that both like Valve and Riot Games, they kind of open up to the female players, and ESL is also organizing tournaments. So we do see a lot of options for the female players to grow, which is amazing actually. And also all the tournaments that are being organized, so that's amazing. So I feel like that exchanging of information is super, super useful, and you know, that's one thing for the org. And also supporting women. I'm also okay to do like lots of side projects, so I'm also attending many conferences, whether these are sport conferences, whether these are specialized esport conferences. I'm also lecturing at universities with esports, where there's like esports specialization, so I'm not kind of blocked to do all of that. I do have support from my org to do the projects that are actually promoting like the healthy environment. And I feel like the more we know from people from different ecosystems, not only closing ourselves that we esport people are the best and we know the best, the better. And in here, like myself, I'm coming from like a business setting, and I am here for like 7 years. No, it's actually, oh wait, well, it's almost it's 8 years.
Don't think about it, please don't do that.
So but yeah, I'm coming from like different settings, and I embrace what I've been doing. And even though I work not only in esport, I'm also okay to work with sport athletes as well, and in business, as I was mentioning before. So, you know, the more I take from different environments, the more I can give to esport. And this is something that I really appreciate. And if I could summarize, like CLG is it's all about growth. And right now, I feel like we're more and more visible with that, and the results are coming themselves. Like the results are showing like what we are good at. And you know, even if you look at our like female teams, they're amazing. They're just, you know, having amazing results. And like just, you know, be the best at what you do. And the passion is like all over the org. Every person that is working in the organization is passionate about what they're doing. And when you're passionate about what you're doing, you just want to do it more. And it's like there's like sky's the limit basically. So yeah, this is what we're good at.
Well, sounds
Thank
really
you so
cool.
much.
And on this line that we are going through right now, do you have any success case that you could share with us? I mean, like any case that you're really proud of?
I mean, there's been many of those, but like I feel like if there is I would say every time a player for me is happy and is happy of their performance and of the change they're making, it's a success story for me. Every time there is a story that, you know, sometimes coaches, I'm talking mostly about like outside of CLG stuff that I've been doing in the past, and the coaches are like afraid to make a like harsh decision to like bench the player, to make a decision like to I don't know, like be a little bit more strict to the player. I'll have more expectations. Usually this is not something that is easy for me, but I'm always like pulling the trigger, like you either do it or we are just, you know, we're done. Like nothing is going to change in here. So those difficult calls very often pay off in having the player, you know, back on track, motivated and happy actually with the change. So these are like little success stories with all my players, and there's been a lot of players like that. As at first there's like they're angry at me because like, you know, there's a change, they need to adapt, but change is the beginning of growth. And if the player is changing, is embracing the change, and whether that's the meta change, whether that's a team change, whether that's, you know, the role change very often, then it's just paying off later on, because there's also a change in dopamine because they're doing something new, so they're more excited about it, they're more motivated to do it, but they need to understand it's for their good. So I would say any player that has change and be successful, and there's been many and I can't give the names, I'm sorry, it's a success story for me. But I think like the one of the things that I'm super proud of is right now we have a super new roster with the CLG Red, a CS:GO team, and we're just smashing everything. We just won a couple of games yesterday. Also, hitting Cash Cup after Cash Cup. ECA advanced. ECA. We are 10-2 right now, so it's amazing how to see those girls growing. So every single one of them is just like a pure gold to work with. But I think the story, there's been like many titles for me, for like EU Masters title. There's been second world position when I was working with Fnatic. So I was having a project in summer with Fnatic. It was 2018. And after like the project, I think it was like a couple of weeks project. The team kind of put themselves together, and they were just like running so fast that they reached second world position. So I feel like it was, even if it 1%, it was because of me, that I'm super happy, because we had to make their many decisions. They had to learn a lot about themselves to get the vibes again, to get the bonding again. So that was something that I'm like super proud of as well. And the team has done hell of a job, and the coaches and the staffs, it's like a lot of on them. But if I supported them even in 1%, then that's something that I'm already happy with. And yeah, there's been a lot of projects that I'm super happy, and every org that I've been working with is actually a success story of mine. So it was like Rocket, Giants Gaming, Consulting, TSM. It was Gamers Origin as well. So like there are many orgs that I was supporting, and for me, I think every of that org was a success story. And just being with them, getting to know them, getting to know to the players, gathering experience, and seeing them growth, because most of the orgs, they were just like reaching top of the top in the tournament. That was always like a smiling factor for me. So yeah, I think my work is a success story, to be honest.
Yeah.
I really like it. This is how I approach it,
Ah,
So yeah.
respect then.
When you get up in the morning and you know that you want to do what you're doing, then it's a success already. So yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Definitely.
I like this positive ambience right now. We have just a few minutes left, but if anyone of the audience would like to have any question, now is your time, because now I will take the advantage to do the last one question, and it's to know about your future. What is the plans that you have for the rest of the year? Or if you can say something exclusive to Esports Business Life, that would be really nice, I have to say.
I mean, I do have a lot of projects that I can't talk about it, because I'm usually the
Yeah.
person that I'm like at the background, just smiling to the people. From like a
Even
cool.
dopamine.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm also attending a couple of conferences at the end of this year, where we'll be talking about esports and the growth, and like what does it even mean to have a performance coach or psychologist in the environment, which is actually super important. But I feel like there's a big gap of knowledge in that, and not every team either faced a specialist in the field that was able to help them, or they just don't feel like something can change. And it's mostly because they just don't know like how to find a person that is able to change. So I feel like I think that this is a big message that is important. Right now I'm with CLG. Everything is going right, and like I'm doing those side projects as always with me. So no changes as I see, but this is a super dynamic environment. So like I don't know what future holds. I'm super happy in the place where I'm right now. So yeah, I guess no major changes for me apart from like the side projects. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for the good
Thomas,
message,
thank you.
Thomas. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm also like super, approachable. So, I've got my DMs open. Very often I have people reaching out to me, asking me many questions about like, hey, what would you do here? How would you handle this? Some coaches are also approaching me. So it's a pretty dynamic role. And I don't feel like most of the organizations, they see how to utilize that role. And it's mostly because of lack of knowledge. So the more people will know about my role, I guess the more professionally spun environment will become. So yeah.
That's
Well,
amazing. So thank you so much, Ursa, for
thanks a lot.
being here. If you have any last question, have it now is the time. If not, we have to
No,
close it.
not
Mhm.
really, not really. I mean, I think that we have touched many different topics. I think we have covered. I mean, I would say everything, but I
There's
think
lots.
it's absolutely impossible to cover everything what you're doing, because you're doing such a wide range of topics, tags, or whatever we want to call it.
Mhm.
It's I've been amazed with the interview. Thanks
Thank
so
you so
much
much.
for sharing everything with us, and it was such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much. It was lovely to be a guest here. Thank you so much.
And I have to say thank you because it has been really amazing. It just playing yourself perfectly. We understand everything. I think I can continually to listen to you all the time because it's you give so much piece of advice and you have a lot to offer. So it's really wonderful. And of course, I have to leave. The opportunity to go away because I know you have
Mhm.
to eat and everything and have dinner.
Actually, I'm
It's
starting
time.
work because I work in the US time zone, so my work is
Oh
just
no.
starting now. So,
Well,
so this
good
is
morning then.
great. Good morning.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Have a nice day.
Yeah, absolutely. That is no. Usually, when I work, it's like my working hours. They start around 6 or 7 p.m. and I
Yeah.
finish like past midnight, or even later when I have some scrims to attend or something. Then that is something that my natural rhythm. But I got used to it. I really embrace it because there's a quiet space, like no loud. I can just focus on work. So that's something that I really embrace.
That's amazing. So thank you so much, Ursula. And for those of
Thank you.
you, you have more program. Actually, have it. It's on Fridays. Don't forget to meet and to watch him. And also, you have workers. You have corporate. You have oh, no, sorry, talent on Wednesday. So please don't forget that we have his sport for the entire week, and we see each other for another day. And thank you so much, Ursula, for being here. And see you next time.
Thank you so much. See you next time. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, sorry.
Bye.